Cool, what's up guys, it's Richie Rich back yet again, and I'm here today in Orbital Comics about to talk about my favorite comic books today, starting off with my favorite superhero, Batman. Be sure to check this out. So here I'm in front of, who would have guessed it, my favorite superhero ever, Batman, Bruce Wayne, the Dark Knight, the Caped Crusader. I actually got into comics initially because of this character right here, you know. I first was introduced to the Batman character from the 1989 film with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. First time I ever watched it, I was just such a huge, enormous fan of the character. Start watching the animated shows, start getting all the comic books, the video games, t-shirts, merchandise, so on, you know. And what it was really that like stuck with Batman to me specifically was he was unlike the Incredible Hulk, you know, Superman or the other, you know, the strongest of superheroes. He was just a normal guy, but just had tremendous potential to become equal to, like, he could fight Superman in a fight, you know. So it always related to me that, you know, with just like, you know, hard work and using your wits, you could become like a superhero, just like the Dark Knight himself. Yeah, so my like favorite like Batman comic books are like the ones that like, you know, pretty much the best, like read them and illustrated them, you know. So you had like the Dark Knight Returns, which was the influence for the Batman v Superman movie. We got a big fan of like Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum, which was again an influence that helped the Arkham Asylum video game, the Arkham series that was made by Rocksteady, and also a few others like Batman Venom, Batman Thrill Seeker, and also Batman Dark Victory, which was the first introduction to Robin. But here's a few like other Batman like comic books that you can also check out, which I've obviously read as well. So you got Batman versus Bane. So this is not the introduction to Bane, but it's just like a little backstory of what happens to him after he encounters Batman. He beats Batman, then Batman comes again, which is not actually Batman, it's Jean Paul Valley. He comes up and he beats Bane, you know, to take care of Gotham again. So like what happens is Bane actually with Ra's al Ghul, they devise a plan to work together, as you can see. See, that's Ra's al Ghul's daughter, the beautiful Talia al Ghul. And that's him inside the Himalayas and that. So Shadow of the Bat series, you know, which really takes place on Batman's like first years of early crime fighting. So it's a very like a young kind of inexperienced Batman, like where you could see him kind of still making like mistakes and errors. It's not like the Batman you would later see later on, like being able to like fight superheroes like Superman, you know, and being in the Justice League. But it's a very good Batman early story to add to your collection too. This one, Batman by Neil Adams, not necessarily a comic book, but what happens here is like it's a few like famous stories for how Batman was depicted in the 70s. You know, as you can see in this design, Batman's wearing like he's wearing like his traditional design. You know, he's got the yellow emblem, he's got the utility belt. But in this one, they always drew him as like the blue Batman, which basically got like the whole, you know, concept of like, you know, Batman just all in blue navy instead of like the complete, you know, jet black, you know. So this was always titled as the 70s Batman, you know, and it was in the 70s where they made the supervillain Ra's al Ghul, who was like a James Bond kind of ex-villain, to go against Batman. And Batman did a lot of like his crime fighting, not just in Gotham City, but outside of Gotham City, fighting like these foes like Ra's al Ghul and just like other global type of issues. So the Neil Adams legend in the DC Comics universe. So like, you know, even though in order Superman came before Batman, you know, in my heart I still believe Batman's #1. But again, you can't have like the universe without these two being in the picture and that. So like the Batman '98 film that with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, I was first introduced to Superman. It was a combination of the 1978 film starring Christopher Reeve, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, and I also was watching the Max Fleischer 1940s series. If anyone has checked that out, you know, it's like the cool animation that was made in the 40s, you know, that just showed Superman combating more threats than an actual supervillain like a Lex Luthor or a Parasite. I always love stories when like Batman and Superman work together, because you could see like their different skills, and even though they're superheroes, how they could be like polar opposites, you know. Yeah, so as like comic books like really ushered like my love for like imagination and just like creativity, and that like this one also played a big part to me, which is Dragon Ball Z, also known as Dragon Ball Zeta. He was introduced to Dragon Ball Z, so once the Batman like craze came out in the late 80s and early 90s, you know, superhero films like became like a big thing. Dragon Ball Z came over in the UK here around the mid to late 90s, you know, debuting on Cartoon Network and moving on to channels like Toonami, CNX, you know. So like when I first watched Dragon Ball Z for the first time, you know, I didn't really kind of understand it. Like, was it like a martial arts film? Was it like a sci-fi film? But it was all that combined, you know. So, and it was like nothing you'd ever seen before. Like people doing like big like blasts, they could fly, and they were also like moving to different planets, you know. And for me, it was like the first series I was able to fully like get invested, you know. It was like a series that takes you on a voyage from the first episode with the character's main protagonist. Let's see if we can find it. Savior of Earth, the Sen from Planet Earth, Goku, you know, who pretty much is like an homage to like the Superman character, you know, same traits, both like noble, pure characters, you know, and their whole goal is to defend Earth. Yeah, man. So like one of like you know, favorite animes besides like Dragon Ball Z, because one personal favorite to me is Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop, you know, I can't talk about it more, you know. What happened was like whilst I was in university, I was watching it every morning before my lecture, so it was a great way to kind of like get me out of the bed, you know, just watching the story, you know, just getting to understand the characters. I was able to just be like, okay, I'm up now, I can go to university, you know. So it did wonders for me, like even just like because I just consider myself like a creative person in heart, you know. So I really take like a lot of like elements like what made the show great and kind of use it for like what I'm trying to do at this particular time, you know. And you know, they say pictures speak for itself, you know. You got the main ensemble characters from like Spike Spiegel, the main protagonist, Faye Valentine, as I spoke of, the young Ed, who's like the technical genius on the ship that they're on, and you got Jet, you know, who knew Spike inside the past and that. So, you know, I've always said like those are my two favorites, you know. Nothing, and in my opinion, can be Dragon Ball Z, but like a close, and I mean close second would be Cowboy Bebop that came out in the late 90s. You know, we're talking about like, you know, comic books and anime. Another big thing that I was very like good with doing like in my childhood was collecting action figures, you know. Like I said, I was a big Batman fan, so I didn't just have like the Batman action figures. I had Joker, I had Scarecrow, Ra's al Ghul, everyone in that DC Comics universe, you know. So, and I think it's just a great kind of like, you know, representation of the show, you know, like how it's able to touch like millions of peoples when you can see like a character. So for instance, you've got Star Trek here, you know, you've not only watched the show, you've not only like picked the like comic book that like tells the story of Star Trek, but you're also seeing them as an action figure, you know. And this does wonders for like any youth who is a big fan of like any kind of like fictional television show. You guys, that's like, you know, pretty much like my day-to-day here at Orbital Comics. And you know, I recommend like anyone, you know, stop by your local comic book store and check any of these out. So guys, yeah, thank you for taking time of your busy, and I mean busy schedule for watching Richie Rich at home in Orbital Comics. Stay tuned for more upcoming vids, which will be coming very shortly. So I'm heading out this way, and she's coming with me. Later.